think a lot of us can get caught up in the procrastination versus perfection section of, right, I need to have a website. This needs to be perfect. I need to have my branding done. I need all those things. And I'll tell you, it's fluff. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. I understand why you think it does. It really doesn't. The steps is you need to
Mm-hmm.
know what problem you solve and who you're serving and figure out a way to take payment. And that is literally it.
If you want to make more sales without the pressure to post on social media, I made this podcast specifically for you. I'm Leslie Stevens, and this is the Not an Influencer, an Impact Maker podcast, where we talk about other organic marketing strategies to bring more clients into your online business and the stories of the incredible entrepreneurs who are using these strategies in their businesses every day to create success. You do not have to be an influencer to be an impact maker and build a successful online. Today, we get to chat with Cat. Cat, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Hi, Leslie. Thank you so much for having me for a start. So I'm Cat Dunn. As you can tell from my accent, I'm originally from England, and now I am very lucky to live in the beautiful Melbourne in Australia. And I have my own business as an online business manager, which basically confuses people slightly, but look at it as an office manager, but virtually. So I manage all aspects of someone's business, depending on what they need from me, basically. So that could be team management, launch management, everyday like customer inquiries. It could be operations, strategy, systems, processes, all those kinds of things. And I specialize in working with coaches, particularly coaches who have their own online program and they've built a membership or a community from that. Because one of the aspects I love to do as well is actually community management, because I feel like any community or environment that supports women to support other women is just gold.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that so much. I mean, because I do that too. But
Yeah,
how did you
exactly.
get in to the management part of all of that? How did you decide you wanted to be an online business manager?
It was actually kind of someone else's idea because obviously the pandemic hit and I was working for a company from home. And in my whole life working corporate, a decade plus, you weren't really allowed to work from home. It just wasn't an option. So once I got that option, I was quite reluctant to give it up. And when I was desperately trying to think, like, I've always wanted my own business. What can I do? What's out there? What skills do I have that people need? Someone told me about virtual assistants, and I'd never heard about them before the pandemic. So I naturally became a virtual assistant and picked up quite a few clients from word of mouth, which is fantastic. And I was already in someone's membership, and she specializes in like business and marketing coaching. So I was like, I need marketing. I need to get my business out there. And I met her at an event, and at the event, I was like, I'm a virtual assistant. These are the things I do. And a while later, she contacted me and said, I'd actually really like to bring you into my company to maybe handle some of the admin. So I became a virtual assistant. And then naturally, because we worked so well together and because she learned my skill set, she started giving me more and more things to do. And then one day it called me her business manager. And I went, what's that? Why are you calling me that? What does that mean? And then when she explained, I was like, oh, is that what that means? Is that what I've been doing? And I just realized, oh, that's what lights me up. That's what's exciting. That's why maybe my other clients, I'm not as driven for them, like, because I felt like with the virtual assistant, they give you a task to do, you do the task, and then that's it. Whereas what I was doing with the other client in terms of management was you become a bit more involved in the business, you get to learn more behind the scenes. I got to be involved in like launches, and I got to be more like what strategies can we use this time? What's working? What's not working? What do the members want? And I just thrived on that. So then I decided to pivot my business from video to OBM.
That I love that differentiation of like just going from somebody who would just do the task to somebody who's really involved and is in big picture stuff and kind of like you're really supporting and running the show instead of just getting things done. And that's really important, I feel like, to have that when you are building a business. And I think it's really amazing that you were able to just like step up and into that role. So as this was kind of like evolving and unfolding for you, did you experience anything in building your business that you didn't expect to kind of come across?
It was definitely a strange transition because I guess from my corporate days, like I started as a receptionist, I started as an admin assistant, and you kind of had that comfort of you work for somebody, so someone's always got you. So stepping into OBM for clients who are very successful, have built a business from the ground up, who have their zones of genius, who everyone respects, and they come into the program to get good quality, to get coaching. I did feel a bit of pressure of like, this has to be fantastic. Like, I have to do a good job because there is no protection. Like, this is the client and me, and this business is the baby. We
Mm-hmm.
all have our own businesses. We all treat them, with kid gloves. We love them. We live in them. We work on them 24/7. And the responsibility is so much more different because you're trying to help this client with their dreams, help their dreams come true, but from a really strategic, hands-on kind of way. It's not just, oh, and this would be such a fantastic thing to do. Let's put it down on our Notion board and then forget about it. It has to be like, right, okay, so how do I take this dream, turn it into tangible steps, and then manage it to make sure everything gets done? So luckily in corporate, I also had a job as a project coordinator, like project management. So I've kind of brought that into the role. So I found that quite easy to do. But it can be quite hard sometimes to be measuring whether you've been successful in your role, because sometimes it can't just be like, all right, so we've got this many new members into the community, or we've hit this revenue goals, because things can be quite up and down in business. And I could do everything possible. I could do a rinse and repeat launch. I could do a brand new launch. I could put all the strategy into actual place, and sometimes the results just don't happen. And you kind of think, oh my God, it was me. I didn't do a good enough job. I didn't do what the client needed. And unfortunately, some of it's out of our hands, particularly this year. This year's been very strange, particularly financially. People are obviously checking their purse strings. It's been hit across all the main countries, I believe. I know England's suffering, Australia's suffering, I'm sure America and Canada's suffering as well. That people are being a bit more wary about where they put their dollar. So even though I
Mm-hmm.
truly believe in the clients I work with and what they offer to women and how important it would be to get in their memberships, you can't force people. It'll happen when it happens. And I'm quite impatient. So knowing that it will work out if we stick to the plan. So I'm just like, want to scream from the rooftops, join it, it's fantastic. It's where I started. But yeah, I just have to trust that everything we're doing will eventually get us the results that we're looking for.
Yeah, it's really hard to kind of like do what you know you need to do and trust the process that it will work out. Because, like you said, you can do the exact same thing that you did before that worked out really, really well. But if it's a different point in time, it might work out incredibly different and go a different way. But we only have so much that's in our control, and we can only do the things that we know we can do until we know better or we get the information to then adjust. And like you said, like we're at a time right now where people are really paying attention where they're spending their money, and it doesn't just take a little bit of convincing right now. It's a whole different kind of realm where people really need to care about where they're spending their money, and that's okay. That's part of being in business. That's part of the whole world and economy and the way everything works. And I think it's so important to have those people by your side and in your business that still care so much that they're like, oh, did I not do enough? Like, did I need to do something differently? Like, did I like what else should we have done, kind of thing? Because our businesses are like our babies, like you said, and we care so much, and we want those people in there who feel the same exact way, instead of just being like, oh, this one didn't work, let's make a different list later and maybe that will work better. So it's very good to care, but it's such a different way from going from your corporate job into now this is your business, this is your baby, and those results are your results too. And it's hard to not take them personally. It's hard to not take it personally when those things happen, but that's also like an opportunity for growth. I feel like as a business owner and yourself is knowing that volatility of the market and knowing not always you, and you can keep going, you can make adjustments, you can continue to get better and adapt and adjust. And I was talking to somebody very recently, and she was talking about she feels like she cared too much about certain things in her business. And I'm like, that's such a gift to get to care about something so much that you get to work on every single day. So, do you feel like it's even with kind of that added pressure and that added pressure that you put on yourself and to get results, do you feel like it's worth it to have your own business rather than stay and work kind of with that security of a big corporation around you?
To be totally honest, probably once or twice a week at least, I think, might just check the job listings. Just to see what's out there. Maybe I could be useful. I do, and I think we all do. And the other side of that is the idea of doing that makes me want to throw up in my own mouth. So I think, right, okay, let's just try harder for my business, because there are some amazing companies out there. I'm lucky that in my corporate career I worked for some really genuine people. At least I thought they were genuine. I mean, I don't know, what goes on behind the scenes. And I've worked for like not-for-profits and stuff, and really like being able to give back in that way. So I know they do exist. The problem I found is there's so many layers of politics. There's so many layers of just kind of like BS that you have to get through, because it's so hard to make changes. It's so hard to make the changes that matter, or like to treat people the way they should be treated, or to get them working in the way that works best for them. There's so many policies and hoops you have to jump through. And I think that's what got to me in the end as well, because I was one of my last jobs, I was managing a team, and my hands were so tired for just really small things. So I'm just trying to make their lives better, because if their lives are better, they'll do better at work. Like, that's a win-win. And I just couldn't see why we couldn't just do certain things. So that definitely drives me to be more successful in my own business, because my business right now is to support other women in their businesses to make them successful. And obviously, because I'm work with a lot of coaches, if these coaches have more time to work in their genius zone, which is to coach, and they coach other women who maybe were in similar backgrounds, maybe they're in a corporate job they don't love, or they're starting a business and they feel like they're unsure, and this coach can help them to be the best version of themselves, and they go, awesome, right, I'm going to become a coach now and I'm going to pass this on, or something like that, and they help another woman, and then it just goes on and on and on until everybody feels like they can stand in their own power and be their true selves and do a job that they really love. That's what gets me more than going, all right, cool, let's try a bit harder with this. And I understand what your friend meant about caring too much. It is a bit worrying sometimes, because I probably, I have woken up in the middle of the night going, oh my God, that thing, oh, I've just had this idea. But I do a lot of personal development, and the biggest issue I have is definitely trust, and I have to lean into it more, because I trust that everything that is meant for us will happen, and the universe has our back. But it's hard. But the results that you do get are so worthwhile. And yeah, that's definitely going to keep me away from corporate, at least for a bit longer. We'll see. Definitely a bit longer. A few more years, maybe.
Well, I definitely appreciate your transparency, because I can promise you, like, at least 90% of people who've started their own business have definitely had those thoughts of like, oh, maybe I should just go get a job, because this can be challenging at points, and that's the reality of it. And it's okay to have those thoughts, and it's okay for it to be hard, and it is very motivating to be like, okay, I actually don't want to go back there, because there's a lot of red tape and I'm creating such an impact with what I get to do now. And it is reminding yourself of that, and kind of honing in on that personal development and being like, okay, have to trust the process. I have to trust myself that I can do this. I have to figure out like all of these elements that might be holding me back, and that's just a part of building a business. Is like, it's not just what's on the spreadsheet. Like, you have to figure out how to get those things done, how to be in the right mindset, how to like actually show up when nobody's making you show up. So, is there anything that you would suggest to somebody who's just in the very beginning stages of starting their business? What would you tell them to focus on?
I think a lot of us can get caught up in the procrastination versus perfection section of, right, I need to have a website, this needs to be perfect, I need to have my branding done, I need all those things, and I'll tell you, it's fluff. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. I understand why you think it does. It really doesn't. The steps is you need to
Mm-hmm.
know what problem you solve and who you're serving, and figure out a way to take payment, and that is literally it. They can direct
Yeah.
transfer into your bank, because a lot of people get caught up in the aesthetics, in like what it's going to look like, rather than, well, yes, we all want our own businesses for different reasons, but don't lean into the, I'm going to sit on a beach and drink pina coladas and money's just going to roll on in. Cool, you could probably have that eventually, but there is a lot of hard work usually that happens before. You're going to go from a 9 to 5 to a 24/7. That's how business owners work, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, the lines do blur. You get a bit obsessed sometimes. So I would say, what is it? What is it you want to fix? What is it you want to help with? If you're in business, you're of service. If you don't want to be of service, then you shouldn't really be in business. That's my opinion. Obviously, some people might not agree, and that's fine. So just get clear on, you don't have to niche so hard, I think, as well. When I started as a virtual assistant, oh my God, I did everything. Every single service you can imagine. I was doing social media. I had no, I shouldn't have been in social media, honestly. The stuff I came up with, like, oh, I've seen some of the posts I created and I'm horrified, because I'm quite a good writer. Like, I can write captions, but when it comes to design, it is not my genius. So like, I look back and go, right, but I had to offer everything to then figure out what I really wanted. And, I had like one point, it was 11 clients, and it was too much, because you can't really give them the best service possible when you have that many, when it's just you. So you can definitely go in with an open mind, and then niche down later. But just what is it? What is the point of it? What do you want to do? How are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And then take payment, and then everything else will fall in. So I've been in business 3 years next year, and I've only just really got my website. I didn't have one for years, and it didn't matter, because you get testimonials, or you show up on Instagram, which is free, or you go to networking events, or you're in Facebook groups and you just share, and it comes across whether people care, whether they're genuine and they're interested. Have a conversation. Get a free Zoom account. It's free for 40 minutes, or get on your phone. It doesn't have to be so professional, because it's just about like the impact that you want to make. That's the focus you should be. And also, I had it as a side hustle before I went full in. And I only went in full time because my corporate contract came to an end, and I thought, we'll do it now. Doesn't work out, cool. But there's absolutely no shame in having your business as a side hustle, either permanently or to begin with. And also, you could be in business and then get a side job. And there's, again, no shame in it. Like, do what works for you. You don't have to just be in business full time. So people have different needs and different wants in their life, and that's absolutely fine. Figure out what works for you. Don't look too much to other people. Yes, get advice, but don't fall into imposter syndrome. Just keep your blinkers on, unfollow those people on Instagram that make you feel bad, and just focus on what it is that you want to get, and everything else will fall in behind it. And the other thing would be, once you feel comfortable, work with a coach. It doesn't have to be a business coach, because business is the best personal development you'll ever do. How many times I hear that? It's totally true. So if you're not working on yourself at the same time, your business will suffer. So it's like a part and parcel. Your business is you, but don't take it too personally. Just work on you. I feel like that was a lot of advice. I might have overcomplicated that, but
no, yeah. I loved it.
It's just like work on you.
Go rewind, listen to all of those again. I think you made so many fantastic points, and I do brand design and web design, and I will tell you, I 110% agree with you that you do not have to have a website or a perfectly perfected brand before you get started. I actually teach people to just start having more conversations. Like, all you need is a method to speak to someone, whether it's in person or on Zoom. Like you said, it's free, and then start getting those paying clients. And then once you get paying clients and you work out how you're providing that service and how you create great results, and then over time, you can create the brand and you can create the website on the back end. My first client as a brand designer, I didn't have a website or brand for the first year, and I was a brand and web designer.
I love that.
But it all came from word of mouth referrals and connections I had made and conversations that I had had. And then the work started to speak for itself, and it was word of mouth referrals. So it wasn't that everything had to be perfect in the beginning. It was that I had to get started for everything to get started, because without clients you don't have a business. And you're right, so many people do get stuck in that kind of perfectionist period where you feel like everything needs to be perfect before you bring somebody in. And in order to get better at what you do, you need to actually be working with people. You can't just plan everything on the back end and think the more you plan and the more you plan, the better you'll get. The more you do it, the better you'll get, whether it's
Exactly.
networking or actually working with clients and getting people results. You have to actually do it to figure out if you're any good at it or
Exactly.
to
Yeah, you might
show
change your
people
mind.
that you're going. Exactly. But like you said, you tried a bunch of things and you figured out what you were good at, what you weren't super thrilled about doing, and then you refined over time. And sometimes you're going to do things that you're like, oh, maybe I won't offer this anymore. I used to do social media template design, and then I was like, I'm not going to do that because that's great. That's an opportunity for me, but that's not where I want to spend my time and energy and effort. And I can serve my clients in a different way. And that's how you can build your niche. You don't have to get down to the nitty gritty right away. Those things evolve over time. And I think allowing yourself that time is very, very difficult, especially with social media, when we see people creating what we think are these overnight successes, or you see, oh, this person made so much money in this short amount of time and they can help you make this money in short amount of time, and it's like, oh, well, I haven't made that much money that quickly. It's okay. You really do have to put your blinders on and stick to the path that is right for you, and that path will evolve in your right time, because you may only have the capacity to work in your business part of the time. Maybe you will need a job. And like you said, there is absolutely no shame in that. And you have to find the way that works best for you and navigate through the entrepreneurial journey in this way, or else when you're trying to follow everybody else's path, you're going to reach a point of resistance because their path is not exactly the same path that you're on. And that's where that personal development and that trust in yourself to then take the information that you've learned and then adapt and adjust it for you is so, so important. So, Kat, if you were to kind of give a recommendation about, like, how do you feel like walking into the world of like self-development? I know building a business is the best way
Yeah.
to evolve as a human being, but when you kind of first get into the business world, especially online, you do see these personal development things and they feel a little bit intimidating. Where would you feel like is the best place to start with the personal development element of it?
Yeah, this is definitely a hard one because mine kind of happened by accident. Um, like I was in a relationship and having some issues, and I did go to therapy. And I saw quite a few different therapists over a number of years, and I just felt very like I'd leave and feel quite unfulfilled. Like kind of like, but what do I do now? I feel like I've just talked about my childhood, I've talked about my relationship for an hour, and I've left and gone. I don't feel any better. I've just talked about the same thing, and nothing's changed. And I was like, so I didn't really know anything about coaching or anything like that, and or personal development. I just thought you go to therapy, you go for a certain amount of weeks, and then you're fixed. Woohoo! Like, I was totally naive about the whole thing. And then accidentally, I don't know how I found her. I found one of my coaches. She's called Erica Kramer, aka the Queen of Confidence. And I honestly don't know how she came into my life. Again, maybe it's the universe. And I just started binging the podcast. And I was like, oh my god, this sounds amazing. Like, is this what you do? And she was talking about like self-love and confidence and self-esteem, and and she swore and she wore pink, and she was like, oh my god, I didn't know this kind of person existed. Like, how could a coach be so kind of out there and vibrant? I thought everyone sits on the couch and they have a pen and pencil and they wear glasses and they stare at you. And so I was like, this is interesting, I'll open up my mind. So I joined her program, and then through her program I found other coaches and worked in different areas of my life. That was the scariest thing I've ever done. That was the most money I'd ever spent on myself. And she had an in-person event. I walked in, there was so many women there hugging each other, and I was like, what on earth is this? This looks like a cult. I shouldn't be here. I had a huge like woman wound. Like all my friends were males growing up. And my coach ran over and hugged me, and I was like, oh my God, that's the woman from Instagram. Like, I was like, what is happening? It was such a surreal experience. And we sat at these tables and we just started straight going into the work. And that day was about money mindset. And people were sharing so openly and crying, and I was like, this is so strange. It was nice. It was like, I'd never been in an environment like that where women could just be seen and heard and supported. And then they had a dance break, and I was like, why are people dancing? This is so weird. And I was wearing all black, and I was hiding behind a pillar, and I was like, and I'm quite a confident, outgoing person. I look back and go, wow, I like my life, it just shut me down so much that I didn't recognize myself. And I was in that room going, I so want to do this and be these people, but I don't know how. And so
Mhm.
with the container I was in, there's certain modules and certain events and things that you do. And I would say for the first year, I faked it. I didn't really get involved. I didn't really understand what I was doing or what I wanted from it. Now, I'm not saying everybody just jump off and just get a coach and sign up if you're not ready for that. But there's so many free resources out there because, like me, you might not know what it is that you need support with. And I will say this: there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. Some of us just need support or a safe space where we can, share what we need to share without judgment. So again, like Instagram and things like that, you can get overwhelmed, but if you have anyone in your life that you trust, ask opinions. When you go on Instagram, check their walls, see what testimonials they've got, see what freebies they've got, and try that. Listen to podcasts with coaches and see if you like their vibe, and then see if like what they're saying relates to you. Because a lot of coaches will talk about similar things, but they have their own way of doing it, or they have their own personalities, or they have their own experiences. So depending on what you've been through in your life, and everyone's been through trauma, and trauma doesn't have to be some horrendous thing that happened to you. It could be something you class as quite small, but did traumatize you maybe from a young age. That look for coaches who specialize in that particular area potentially, because you want to be working with somebody who has gone through what you've gone through and come out the other side stronger, so they can show you the way and they can support you as you figure out how you want to change your life. And it doesn't have to be coaching. Obviously, there's other things out there. Therapy is definitely important for some people, depending on what they're dealing with. There's also many woo-woo things out there. One might do shamanic healing or Reiki or work with a kinesiologist. And again, there's a lot of options out there. But if you just try one thing and then see where that leads you, because I've gone on a huge personal development journey and I've tried lots of things, but one thing led me to do that. I didn't do everything at once because it's not going to work. But I would definitely say the start point for me and a lot of people is your mind. So your mindset is probably the first thing you want to work on. And it's even just like those thoughts you tell yourself every day: I can't do this. I can't succeed. No one wants me. I'm not good enough. That's the place to start. So even if you grab a pad and a pen and write down those horrible thoughts and get them out of your head, that's a good start. Or every day, 3 things I'm grateful for. Because even if you had the worst day ever, you'll find something. Just little things that can help. Like I love meditating, but meditating's not for everybody, and you don't have to do it for 15 minutes or 30 minutes a day. 5 minutes, sit in silence if you can, and try and clear your mind and see if that helps. Go do yoga. Like there's so many things out there, but it's just don't try everything. Try one thing, try it for a while, doesn't work, try something else. And if you want to work with a coach, just find one that you connect with and you feel like relates to what you're going through and can support you. Because there are a lot of coaches out there, obviously, that potentially aren't doing it for the best reasons. You hear those ones of like, I've earned 100K in 3 days. Fantastic. But are you in it for the money or are you in it to help people? And you'll get a good vibe for people when you start doing the free content. And they should have free content out there. So just check their Instagram links, check their websites, or listen to podcasts. Great way to start doing it. And again, I feel like that was a lot of different options, but it's just so varied the way you could like start working on yourself. The best advice is just start. Just start today. 5 minutes, give it a go, see what happens.
That's the best advice. I mean, I think that makes a really good point, though. There are so many options out there, and it is listening to yourself and being like, okay, what would I actually connect with the most, and then actually get started. Because we do have so many options that holds us back so much from just getting started. But it's just try one thing and start today. Stop waiting for tomorrow. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting for you to have time. All of those things, because everything is not always going to lay perfectly in our favor to get started. And I love what you said about like writing down the thoughts in your head. It's the greatest place to start, and start start challenging those negative thoughts that you're having. Be like, okay, well, what if I thought the opposite? Thank you, brain, for saying that. You're protecting me from something, but what if I'm actually great and I'm not horrible? Let's try that one.
Yeah, definitely.
so, so, Kat, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Can you tell us where people can find you to connect with you and potentially work with you?
Oh, yes, bring it on. So my name is on socials is Cat Louise Dunn, Cat with a C. So Cat Louise Dunn, that's across everything, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And my website is the same, so catlouisedunn.com. So yeah, feel free to DM me, reach out. And if you're interested in being at OBM, I'm happy to chat about that as well. And yeah, good luck on your business journey, everybody. I'm very excited.
Perfect. And all of her links are in the description below. So click her links, send her a message, and chat with Kat. Thank you so much for spending today with us.
Thanks, Leslie, for having me. Thanks, everyone, for listening.